So the takeaways from my discussion today are really maybe three. One is just that we're all in this together, that Port Authority of Houston is part of the overall port community, but doesn't run the port. I think that's really important. People sort of think that, right? They think that Port Houston runs the port and is everything to everybody at the port, but it's really not. It's the Coast Guard and the Corps of Engineers run the port, and then we support them, and I think that's important. The second thing would be the idea that we have to expand our business to keep the economic growth going for our region. And the expansion of the business includes expanding the channel so that it's a wider channel is better for business, but also safer for the environment. And that part of the equation I think is really important, being able to reinvest and expand all of our businesses in the region so that we can continue growing jobs, because what we're all about is growing jobs and making sure that people have a place to work and that they have great quality of life. And then the third thing I think is the idea that we as a port community, not just Port Houston, we manage 8 of the docks out of 200, but we need to lead in the energy transition, because if we're being drugged to the energy transition movie, that is going to be a really negative thing for us, and I don't want Houston to become Detroit. Detroit didn't lead in the auto changes, and what happened was they lost massive amounts of jobs, and our region has to lead in this transition rather than being drugged to the energy transition. So I think that was the sort of third thing. Transition is all about decarbonization, and decarbonization means that we have to use less fossil fuels, and we're a fossil fuel based economy here, and we need to pivot and change that to a decarbonized economy. And the way you do that is that we produce green fuels like green hydrogen. We sequester CO2. There's a $100 billion project that Exxon has and a number of other energy companies are proposing for carbon sequestration. So we take carbon out of the air and we pump it into underground storage places, and then we start using CO2 for products that we can use that are beneficial to the environment. And so those are technologies that can add jobs and to create a lot more value long term. And so decarbonization is not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen over the next 10 to 20 years. And so we need to be at the forefront of that technology and of the business side of that equation, so that when we do have fewer gas powered cars, for example, that refinery workers don't get fired, right? When they need another place to go, and if there's an alternative, either green hydrogen or carbon sequestration, then they'll have a place to go. And so that to me is something that we all in this region have to really focus on. What I'm most excited about that 10 or 20 year forecast is that people are listening now. They're starting to go, oh, gee, we have to do that. They have the capital and the resources to lead. They just have to have the energy, no pun intended, to get out in front, right? And not follow. And so I think the capital markets are telling anyone who's using the capital markets from an energy perspective, they're telling them you better get out and lead on transition, or you're going to be left behind. And so I'm excited about that, because you can talk all day long about how you have to change your economy, but if you're not doing things proactively today and really putting dollars and manpower behind it, then you're not going to get there. And so people are starting to do that, which is good.